Welcome, everyone, to our class today where you'll learn what natives say at work. And we'll cover different common workplace situations like meetings, something that you experience every single day. Here's something a native speaker would commonly say. I think we're getting into the weeds. Listen to that pronunciation. I think we're getting into the weeds. Getting into the weeds. Now, this into will sound like more of an unstressed ta, into the, and then you add on the, into the weeds. Well, you may know that weeds are unwanted plants that grow in your garden. I spend a lot of time removing weeds, but this is an expression to get into the weeds. When you're learning expressions, you have to use all the words. So you have to use the weeds. You can't just say getting into weeds or a weed or up to. You can't change the words. And your verb is get, which you have to conjugate. In this sentence, the conjugation is the present continuous because it's taking place now. If you're getting into the weeds, it means that you have a topic or a goal. And instead of progressing towards that goal or staying on the topic, you spend too much time on very small details that are not important. And because of that, you're not progressing towards your goal. I think we're getting into the weeds. So you can use this when you or someone else is taking the conversation in an unproductive way. Our next one, let's just park that issue for now. What does this mean? Well, I gave you the definition right on the screen. Of course, to park is to take your car into a spot and leave it there. So you can think of that as a metaphor. And if you park an issue, this something is generally an issue, a topic, a conversation, a decision that needs to be made. Basically, you set it aside until later. Let's just park that issue for now, because maybe you realize by discussing that issue, you're getting into the weeds. You're spending too much time on small, insignificant things. So let's just park that issue. So you can use this in a social context as well. You can use all of these phrases in a social context. But remember, I said you can use this with a decision. So if your significant other wants to go on vacation, but you know it's not a good time for some reason, and they keep bringing it up or trying to get you to choose a location, you can just say, let's just park this for now. Let's just park this for now. You're letting them know you don't want to talk about it right now. How about our next one? Who's taking the lead on this? This is hopefully one you're already familiar with. Remember, with expressions, like I said, you have to look at all the individual words together. So take the lead. That means take primary responsibility, right? Lead, leader, that makes sense. Notice though, when you connect it to the topic, this, you have to include on. Now, you can continue and have something specific. Who's taking the lead on? So how could you finish this sentence? Share it in the comments. Who's taking the lead on? Instead of this, I want you to leave something specific. Who's taking the lead on? What do you think, Mirik from sunny and hot Czech Republic? Julia from Myanmar? Horatio, hello, everyone. Jolanta from Poland, hello. So what do you think? From Zimbabwe? Who's taking the lead on? Yeah, Azam, you can absolutely say this project. Who's taking the lead on this project? Who's taking the lead on addressing the issue? Notice what Julia did. She used a verb, but if you use a verb, you need the ing. So you might say, who's taking the lead on updating the website? So that would be an action. You could also just view it as a thing. Who's taking the lead on the website? Absolutely. The project, that's an easy one. Hello from Canada. And yes, this task, very good. Excellent job, everyone. Let's keep going. Oh, this is an interesting one. What's your read on this? What's your read on this? So, of course, to read, you know what that means. But notice, in this case, read is not a verb. What is it? What's your read? It's a noun. What's your opinion? What's your take? What's your perspective? What's your analysis? So, opinion or assessment. What's your read on this? Very much a business expression. And yes, everyone, you got it. It's a noun. Absolutely. Well done, everyone. And Natalia, absolutely. You can say, what's your take on this? And Ariel, you can say, what's your viewpoint on this? Well done. Hello, all the way to Nicaragua. What's your take on this? Exactly. The Netherlands, Kenya. Woohoo. We have so many countries represented. Amazing. What's your read on this? Very common. Remember, this one specifically is a business expression. We have Austrian, India, amazing. Taylor, come on back. We're happy to have you. France, woohoo. The design team isn't aligned on the budget. Oh, thank you, Ariel. How did you know that? I must have said this at some point. Yes, thank you. I am now a captain. The design team isn't aligned on the budget. So here, our expression is to be aligned. To be aligned. Be is conjugated. In this case, is third person singular. The design team. It. Now, our verb to be in the negative. It isn't aligned. Now, if you continue on, you need on the budget. So on plus something, just like we had before. What's your read on the situation? So on plus something. Now, if you are aligned, it means that you agree or share the same understanding. It's very similar to on the same page. On the same page. This sounds a little more formal, I would say. Very common to use aligned. Aligned. We need to get aligned. We need alignment. Alignment is the noun form. So remember, isn't aligned. So they don't agree. They don't share the same understanding. Absolutely, you can think of it as they're divided. Some people think this about the budget. Some people think this about the budget. So they're divided. Exactly. The design team doesn't agree with the budget. Now, doesn't have the same opinion on how they should manage the budget, potentially. So it could be that they both agree that there should be a budget, but maybe it's the amount, the timeline, the allocation, who's taking the lead, things like that. So there could be issues within the budget. Hey, Hidaki, so nice having you here. So because this is in the negative, you might say The design team needs to get aligned. Get aligned. Notice how I changed the verb be to get. Why did I do that? Be describes a current state. Get describes your transition from not to. So get aligned means they have to transition from not aligned to aligned. We are talking about this matter, but we are not aligned. Are not aligned. You want the verb be. We are not aligned. Very nicely done. Yeah, you might say, it sounds a little more formal, but you could say, my partner and I aren't aligned on where to go on vacation. It sounds a little formal to use it in that everyday context. You might say, we're not on the same page. Yeah, but just talking about something like a vision, that's a great use of align. Our vision isn't aligned on this particular subject. Very nicely done. Are you enjoying this lesson? Do you want to keep learning real workplace phrases that native speakers use? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments, like this lesson, and subscribe so you're notified every time I go live so you don't miss it. And also every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can get it for free on my website. You can just go to my website or look for the link in the description. It will take you there as well. And if you want to keep learning English with me, if you want to get my personal support, have an entire program, well, then you can do that in the Finally Fluent Academy, a complete program to help you understand real English and sound fluent in as little as 90 days. You can find the link in the description as well. And let's keep going and we'll move on to calls. So a phone call. Thank you so much for your support, Ariel. I appreciate that. And woohoo, everyone's enjoying the lesson. Thank you so much. Chris, I appreciate that as well. Awesome. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed the news article as well. Okay. Now we're talking about calls. So you can use call as a verb. I need to call my friend. We also use it as a noun. I need to make a call. Make a call means I'm the one dialing. Now, I need to take a call means I need to receive a call. Okay, so here it's the noun form. So you might ask someone, is it still a good time to talk? Now, even if we have a scheduled appointment with someone, if you're calling them on the phone, even if the person said, call me at 8, and then I call them, I might say this at the beginning as a polite confirmation. I expect the person to say yes. But it's just a polite confirmation that native speakers also often use as a pleasantry at the very beginning of a call. Is this still a good time to talk? Now, notice I use still. This implies that we already agreed to the time. You can remove still. If you remove still, it means you're calling the person unexpectedly. Is this a good time to talk? Yeah, it's good. And you just expect them to say yes. That's it. Yep, sure, absolutely. That's it. I don't know if I would say right. I wouldn't replace it. I would just use good. Is this a good time to talk? Oh, very nice example. My boss and I aren't aligned. You're missing one word. Aren't aligned. How to solve that problem? Aren't aligned on how to solve that problem. Don't forget that preposition on. You might say to the person, let me put you on speaker. Let me put you on speaker. We often say this so the person knows that their voice is being broadcast in the entire room. Because if I know I'm on speaker, I might change what I say because now it's not a private conversation. It's technically a public conversation because anyone can hear it. However, if you're in a private room, then it would still be considered a private conversation. But usually we tell the person we're putting them on speaker just so they're not surprised. Because again, it's changing it from a private conversation to a public conversation. So notice that grammar. You put someone on speaker. You put someone on speaker. Now, it's just the way that a native speaker would say this. Let me put you on speaker. It's just, I am going to put you on speaker, and I want you to know that you are now on speaker. Okay, let me put you on speaker. How about this? Can I put you on hold for a moment? Can I put you on hold? For a moment sounds a little more formal. You can absolutely just say, can I put you on hold? Can I put you on hold? You can even say, can you hold? Can you hold? Can you hold? Can I put you on hold? So notice, put someone on speaker, put someone on hold. Now, for a moment just means a small amount of time. You can also say for a minute, for a sec, for a sec. Sec is very commonly used by native speakers. It's the short form of second, but it just represents a short amount of time. Can I put you on hold for a sec? Can I put you on hold for a minute? Can I put you on hold for a moment? Moment is the most formal sounding. How about this one? I'll put you through to Sarah. I'll put you through to Sarah. So again, put you. So we're using the verb put and then someone. Put someone, and then it changes because we're not using the preposition on, we're using through. I'll put you through to Sarah. This is like saying I'll transfer you to Sarah. So to transfer means that I'm talking to you and then I will enter some sort of code and then the call will go to Sarah's line, assuming that we're in an office and we have the same phone system. I'll put you through to Sarah. So I'll connect you to Sarah, but again, because this is phone vocabulary, you can absolutely say, I'll transfer you to Sarah. Put you through is a more casual, a more native way of saying, I'll transfer you. Exactly. Extension *6*. Does that exist anymore? Probably. It probably still exists. Yeah, very nice, Azam. I'll put you through to. Now, boss is a countable noun. You need an article in front of it. So you would have to say, I'll put you through to the boss, my boss, our boss. You need some sort of determiner that can be a possessive or an article. Can I talk to Sarah? Stay on the line. Stay on the line. The line. Stay on the line. I'll put you through. Exactly. I'll put you through to Sarah. Very nicely done. Greetings to Spain as well. Nice to see you again. Okay, let's keep going. I'm calling about. This is when we announce the topic. Why are you calling me? So we usually do this right at the beginning so there's no confusion. I'm calling about the order we discussed yesterday. So I'm calling, it's in the present continuous because it's taking place now about something. There are certainly other phrases you can use. You could say, I'm calling to discuss the order. I'm calling to get your approval. I'm calling to share information. So you can absolutely use an infinitive, which would be very common, but it's also common to use about and then something. Yeah, very nice. I can put you through. Don't forget to. That preposition to is required. I can put you through to the right person to help you with your work. To help you with your work. Very nicely done. We have Kurdistan and Senegal. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I'm calling. I'm calling in sick. I'm not feeling well today. Yes, to call in sick. So if your roommate comes home and you're on the couch watching TV and they're like, "Why aren't you at work?" You can say, "I called in sick." I called in sick. This is the expression we use to mean I told my work I'm not coming today because I'm sick. I called in sick. Yes. Welcome from India. Yeah, I'm calling regarding. Regarding is the more formal way of saying about. Very nice addition there. Do you have a minute to go over something? Do you have a minute to go over something? Something is vague, so you would have to specify what it is. So the person could say, "Sure, what's up?" Or "Sure, what do you need to discuss?" Or "Sure, what's this regarding? What's this regarding? What's this about? What's this regarding? What's this about?" Do you have a minute? Remember, we learned two alternatives. Do you have a minute? Do you have a? Do you have a? There are two other alternatives. Do you know what they are? Hello to Germany. Welcome, welcome. Do you have a minute to go over? To go over something. Now, instead of saying something, which is quite vague, you could say, do you have a minute to go over the report? Do you have a minute to go over the budget? To go over simply means to review or to discuss in detail. Oh, Natalia got it. Moment. Second. Do you have a moment? Do you have a second? Exactly. How about this one? Can I call you back? Can I call you back? So this means, can I end the call and then call you again at a future time? Can I call you back? Now notice I specified the amount of time in 10 minutes. Can I call you back in 10 minutes? There's someone at the door. Now you could say, can I call you back in a sec? Can I call you back in a minute? Can I call you back in a moment? Because native speakers don't actually use in a sec or in a minute to represent 60 seconds, 1 minute. We just use it to represent a small amount of time. Yeah, exactly. Can I call you back in half an hour? 30 minutes. Exactly. Thank you so much. You're the best. Yeah, absolutely. You can simply say, "Can I call you back later?" Exactly. "I'm not available right now. I'll call you back in a minute." Exactly. Very nice. Greetings to Japan. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I'm in the meeting. I'll call you back when I'm finished. Exactly. Very nice. Yeah. Can I call you back later? Someone is at the door, which means I just heard ding dong or very nice. How about this? I'll send you the details as soon as we hang up. So hang up, you end the call. Of course, that's not, you don't do that anymore. You just do that. I'll send you the details as soon as we hang up. So notice the first part is in the future simple because you're committing to the action. I'll send you the details. As soon as we use the present simple, as soon as we hang up, as soon as we hang up, it means that I will hang up the phone and then I will go to my computer and I will send you the details. Or maybe I'll hang up and then I'll send you the details on my phone, whatever device you use. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Exactly. Does anyone get that? Yeah, I'm in the middle of something. Oh, no, I'm in the middle of something. I'm in the middle of something. It means that you're currently working on something and you don't want to interrupt your focus. It could be cooking. It doesn't have to be work. You could be cooking. You could be doing anything, putting away groceries. You could be filling up your car, anything. I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back later? Exactly. So just know the before something. Very nice. I'll email you. Very nice using email as a verb. Very native. I'll email you in the future simple as soon as present simple, as soon as I know the details of the trip. Excellent job. Well done. Let's keep going. I have to hop off the call in a few minutes. Native speakers use this a lot. Hop on means to join a call, a meeting, a discussion, and then hop off means to leave. We generally use this with calls and also meetings. It can be an in person meeting, it can be an online meeting. Oh, I have to hop on a call. Oh, sorry, can I call you back? I have to hop on a call. Now here, this is hop off the call, which means you're currently on the call and you're just letting the person know because maybe they're just going on and on and on and you want them to know that you only have a few minutes. Oh, just to let you know, I have to hop off the call in a few minutes. So, can we discuss the budget? If they're off in the weeds, they're in the weeds. They're just discussing minor details that aren't important. You might use this as a reminder that let's make sure we discuss what we need to discuss. Okay, hop on, hop off. Oh, this one natives use a lot. I have a hard stop. I have a hard stop at 11:45. No. No. If you hop on a car, this is the car and this is the roof of the car. This is the interior. You would literally jump onto the roof of the car because you're a cat or Spider-Man or something like that. So no, you can hop in, which means to enter. So yes, you can say hop in to mean get in, hop in. Because remember, we use in with cars. Okay, this one, I have a hard stop at 11:45 because how many times have you been in a meeting and the meeting was scheduled from 11 to 11:45, but at 11:45 people are still talking. They don't respect the end time of a meeting. So you would use this to let the person know that you absolutely must leave at 11:45. You can't even stay 5 minutes more. So you might say this at 11:35 just to let the people know that you are leaving in 10 minutes. And you would use this if you get the sense that the call is not going to end in 10 minutes, even though that's the end time. You could use this at the very beginning of a conversation just to let the person know as well. Now, even if you don't have a scheduled meeting where there is an end time, your friend might call you and say, "Hey, is this a good time to talk?" And you say, "Yeah, it is, but just so you know, I have a hard stop at 11:45." So your friend knows no matter what you're talking about, even if it's a really serious conversation, you have to leave at 11:45. Sorry you missed the beginning, but don't worry, you can find the replay as well. Okay, so this is a very common one to use. She has a hard stop at 12. Exactly. Very nice. So notice a hard stop. A stop, a hard stop. You have to use a hard stop. You can't just say, I have a stop. And you can't change hard to, I have a difficult stop or I have any other adjective. You must use hard. I have a hard stop. And then we use at before the time reference at 11:45. Let's move on to presentations. When was the last time that you gave a presentation? I'm giving a presentation right now, we could say. You might say, let me walk you through the key points. This is an extremely important expression to walk someone through something. Do you have to mention the time? Yeah, because otherwise, the person, if you say, I have a hard stop, it would be incomplete because they would be wondering, well, when is the hard stop? So I would say it's not grammatically required, but in order to successfully communicate the idea, you would have to say the time. So to walk someone, walk you, then the preposition through, and then the something. In this case, the something is the key points. Now, this means I'm going to explain the key points clearly and step by step, which means I'm going to take my time. I'm going to be detailed. I'm going to make sure you have all the information you need. Let me walk you through. Let me walk you through the key points. So a must use expression. Yeah, you can absolutely say, let me walk you through the whole incident. So you're not just going to give a quick summary. You're going to start from the beginning and you're going to explain all aspects of the incident in detail. Well done. Yeah, don't forget through. Let me walk you through the problems. Let me walk you through the problems. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you from China. And 8:30 p.m. We're 12 hours apart. Good to know. Yeah, could you walk me through it? So maybe you go up to your HR manager and say, there was an incident in the warehouse today, and one of the employees was injured. And then the HR manager says, okay, could you walk me through it? So you have to explain it in detail. As you can see on this slide, the trend is changing. So the expression that you can add to your vocabulary is as you can see. Now, on this slide, if there is a slide right now, what you see on the screen, that is a slide. This is a PowerPoint presentation, and we call the information a slide. A slide could also be a projection. Now, if you had, let's say this is a report, I would say, as you can see in the report, so you could say in the report, you could say, as you can see at the bottom of page 9. This is page 9. At the top of page 9, at the bottom of page 9. Or I could just say, as you can see on page 9. As you can see in the image on page 9. So there are many different expressions that you can use, but you're being specific about what you want the person to notice. As you can see on this slide, and then you would explain what you want the person to notice. So C represents notice. The trend is changing. That was just an example. I'll come back to that in a moment. So come back to something means to return to, in the sense that I will discuss it again. I will explain it again in a moment. So at a future date. So let's say that I'm explaining this expression, and then someone in the chat asked me to explain what fluctuate means. I would say, I'll come back to that in a moment, but first let me finish my explanation of this. So that's how you could use it. I'll return to that in a moment. That brings me to my next point. This is an excellent transition phrase. So you're talking about slide 9, and then you want to talk about something specific. And you point to the chart and say, notice that the trend is changing. That brings me to my next point. We need to adapt our marketing strategy. So it's just a way to naturally transition. So it leads naturally to the next topic. So if my next topic were on punctuation, I might say something like, notice that this sentence ends in a period. That brings me to my next point. In English, you must use proper punctuation in writing. And then I could explain or walk you through punctuation rules in English? Yeah, you can say, Natalia, that leads me to my next point. That leads me to my next point. Absolutely. You could say that. Just remember, bring and lead are verbs, so you would have to conjugate them. I want to draw your attention to this number, or I want to draw your attention to this slide, this chart, this image, this point. So if you draw someone's attention to something, it means you deliberately direct their focus to you. So I want you to notice this number. I want you to pay attention to this number. I want to draw your attention to this number. It's a more polite way of saying it, and it's a more natural way of saying it. Exactly. I want to draw your attention to this matter. Very nice. Yeah, I'll get back to this topic in a moment. Now let's fix this problem. Very nicely done. Here's the key takeaway from this example. Takeaway is the most important idea or lesson, the thing I want you to remember the most. Now, a takeaway, because takeaway is a noun, you could say there are 3 takeaways. There is one important takeaway. Notice I described it with the key takeaway. The key emphasizes that it's the most important. So if I were teaching punctuation rules, I would say, here is the key takeaway about using periods correctly. If there were one main point that I wanted you to remember, the most important idea or lesson. So often in presentations or in meetings, this is how they end, by summarizing the key takeaways or the takeaways. Remember, it can be plural, the takeaways, because it's a noun. So if it's plural, if you say 2 or 3 or more, you have to add S. Takeaways. Exactly. So I could ask you, at the end of this, we just went through 1 hour of learning expressions. Of course, you're not going to remember most of what I teach, unfortunately, because you need practice and repetition to actually remember it. But if I ask you, what's your key takeaway from this lesson? And I want you to tell me the one thing that you remember. And that will help me as a teacher understand, okay, what do my students remember and why do they remember this? And then I can think about what it was about that specific expression or explanation, and I can try to do more of that because clearly you remember it. So, why don't you share so far? We are 45 minutes into the lesson today. What's your key takeaway so far? What's your key takeaway? Okay, hard stop. Love it. That's a great expression. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. How about this one? I'll leave you with one final thought. Ooh, this is something that I would expect to hear on a TED Talk or an inspirational talk or a formal presentation, a keynote speech. I'll leave you with one final thought. Because what this expression does is preparing you as the audience to understand that what I'm going to say next is the last thing I'm going to say. So it's preparing you for the end. It introduces a final point. Oh, so going back to the takeaway, hop off. That's a good one. Oh, I need to hop off. Walk through. Oh, walk through as well. Hard stop. Nice. Hard stop. Nice. I love it. Okay, I'll leave you with one final thought. And then make sure that what you share is worthy of a final thought. And of course, it depends on context. If I were teaching you punctuation rules, I'll leave you with one final thought. I'll leave you with one final piece of advice. I'll leave you with one final point. I'll leave you with one final rule. So you don't have to use thought. You can change it to different things. Call in sick because you're going to use that one tomorrow. Very nice. Very nice, everyone. So this sounds very professional. Yes, the conclusion. Oh, Hidaki, go over. That's an extremely common one, so I'm glad that stuck out. Before I wrap up, let me summarize the main points. Now, instead of main points, I could say, let me summarize the takeaways. Let me summarize the takeaways. Before I wrap up, this means before I end. Before I end. And it could be anything. It could be end a presentation, end a meeting, end a discussion. Before I wrap up, let me summarize the main points. Let me summarize the takeaways, the key takeaways, the 3 most important takeaways. Let's move on to giving feedback. You might say, one thing that's working well is the structure. One thing that's working well. Now, this is flexible because in this case, it's in the present continuous that is working well. You could also use the present simple. One thing that works well is, because it's one thing. So your verb is conjugated in third person singular. Is, and then you would identify, is the introduction, is the chart on page 9, is the graphic design. And in this case, is the structure. So you're introducing positive feedback, what you like. If it's working well, it means that it's positive, you like it, it's beneficial. No, the word feedback is not criticize. Feedback is neutral. So you can give positive feedback, you can give negative feedback, but the word feedback simply means comments. So the word comments is not always negative. So feedback is neutral, and that's why here in the definition, I included positive feedback because feedback itself is neutral. It's just most of the time people receive negative feedback, but absolutely you can receive positive feedback, and hopefully you do. Yeah, you can think of feedback as an evaluation. It's me reviewing it and providing my comments overall. Now, hopefully, like I said, the comments will be balanced. You have some things you like, some things that need improvement. This is heading in the right direction. So, again, this is positive. This could be the report, the presentation, the conference, the website design, the new product launch. It can be anything. Is heading in the right direction. So head means go, is going in the right direction. So it's developing in a positive way. Now, good question for negative. What could you say? Well, let's go back to the last thing. You could say one thing that isn't working well. So you could just make it negative. That is not working well. One thing that isn't working well is the structure. One thing that needs to change is the structure. One thing that needs to improve is the structure. So that's how you can make this negative. For this one, again, you could say, this is heading in the wrong direction. No. This report is heading in the wrong direction. Or this website design is heading in the wrong direction. So that's how you can make that negative. This is feedback where you want them to change something. So it's not necessarily that you're criticizing, you're just giving your opinion. I suggest plus gerund. I suggest tightening this section. So if you tighten, it means that you make it shorter, clearer, or more focused. So if this section is this long and I want you to tighten it, maybe you just do it like this. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be like that. It could also be like this, but it just means shorter, clearer, or more focused. I suggest tightening this section. There are too many examples. We don't need 5 examples in this one section. One example is enough. So that could be how you tighten it. You take the 5 examples that you now have and you only share one. Yeah, cut down. I suggest cutting down this section. Very nice. Thank you. I suggest paying attention to Jennifer's tips on becoming fluent in English. So suggest plus gerund. Well done. Yeah, this is so long. I suggest tightening it. Very nice. Let's tighten up this section. Yeah, so here you could say, let's tighten this section. You could absolutely say, let's tighten up this section. In this case, turning it into a phrasal verb by adding up doesn't change the meaning. Yeah, you could simply say, I suggest reducing this section. You could say that as well. You can strengthen the opening. Strengthen means improve. So if I want you to strengthen the opening, it means right now, I think there is opportunity for improvement. This is a very polite way of delivering negative feedback. Because right now, I don't think the opening is very strong. Strong in this context means positive. So you can strengthen the opening. You can improve the opening. Yeah, I suggest tightening the title. So maybe my title is this long and you want it to be like this, especially with news reviews or with news articles, because news articles really want to be tight, short, concise. You can tighten the title. Very nice. I like that example. Welcome all the way from South Korea. Snack destroyer. You like to destroy snacks. Okay, very nice. Thank you. Yeah, this project is heading in the wrong direction. Very nice. Let's move on to problem solving. And yeah, appropriate that this emoji is on the screen right now because maybe there's a problem to solve there. We need to get to the bottom of this. Ooh. So if the website keeps crashing, you could say, We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to understand the cause so we can fix it. So if you get to the bottom of something, you discover the cause so you can fix it. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to get to the bottom of why the website keeps crashing. That's a very common expression. How about this? We came up with a temporary solution. So to come up with, this is a very common phrasal verb. It means that you thought of or you created. We thought of a temporary solution. We created a temporary solution. So it didn't exist before. Yeah, we need to find the bug in the script. Very nice. Exactly. Nice summary. We need to get to the bottom of why the website keeps crashing. Well done, because you got every word of what I said. Well done. We came up with an idea. Very nice. So we thought of, we created it. We'll have to work around the issue for now. Okay, so this is the issue. And if you work around it, it means that you find a way to complete your tasks, even though the problem or the issue still exists. Because at this point, you haven't gotten to the bottom of the issue. So yes, you want to solve the issue, but for now the issue is there. So instead of just stopping all the work, right now you're just going to work around the issue. And then hopefully you'll solve the issue, but for now you'll just work around it. So you'll work even though the issue still exists. Did you implement the workaround? So notice, in this case, to work around, this is the verb work and the preposition around. In this case, workaround is a noun. Did you implement the workaround? All my IT people probably know this. It's very common in software development and IT. A workaround is a temporary solution. So if my website keeps crashing, a workaround might be that I redirect it to a different server because this server keeps crashing. So I just redirect all my traffic. And then once we figure out why the website keeps crashing and we fix it, well, then I send my traffic back. But sending them somewhere else, that's a workaround. It's a temporary solution. Let's rule that option out for now. So maybe the option is launching a new website because the current website is so slow, it's outdated. Having to fix it would almost take more time than just starting from scratch. But the person is saying, let's rule that option out for now. So I don't want to consider it. I want to eliminate that as a possibility. And the eliminate is creating a new website. So I don't want to consider that out. Consider that. Let's rule that out for now. Let's not consider that at this point, maybe in the future, because they said for now. If they just said, let's rule that out, I would not say maybe in the future. But because they said for now, then I added, well, maybe we'll consider it in the future. Well, we did it right on the dot, 9 o'clock, my time. We did it. So let's wrap up. Let's call it a day. And I'll leave you with one final thought. you can get this free speaking guide on my website. And I want you to get this because I get the same questions again and again. So I put my best tips and advice in this guide. And it's what I want you to do to start. So you can look for the link in the description or go to my website and you will see it right there. And if you want to keep learning with me, if you want my feedback, my support, I give positive feedback. And of course, I give feedback on areas that need to improve with mistakes or things that don't sound quite natural. So if you want to be part of a full program that includes my feedback, my support, you can get that in my program, the Finally Fluent Academy. You can look in the description or again, go to my website. And that's it. Put yes, yes, yes in the comments if you enjoyed this lesson. Make sure you like it as well and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Oh, I'm so glad you loved the lessons. Thank you so much, everyone. And yes, smash that like button. Thank you. And yes, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to make a cup of tea after all this talking. I need to hydrate. Awesome. Yes, Captain is signing off for the day. Let's wrap up, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.